それ一番触れちゃいけないと。著作権切れてるから大丈夫よ。
Huh, it actually is. Holy crap, they're actually making a horror movie out of it? You think they could do a crossover with Winnie the Pooh? We opened this week with some live deer, as the narrator wanted to give a brief overview of the series, including how they managed to make it this far while ignoring PETA complaints, rightfully so by the way, as well as to explain how the first half of this episode was going to be a bit of an 18 short anthology, though not really. Yeah, much like that one god tier Tropical Rouge Precure episode, they kind of cheat by letting some segments bleed into others, making it not a true anthology, but whatever really, especially with a show like this. Though, in keeping with that spirit, we will try to cover each short with maybe 1 or 2 sentences, which also means we're going to have to do a lot of these sort of cut-ins because there's going to be a lot more punchlines. So with that in mind, let's get right into it. The first short kind of gave me Pop Team Epic vibes, as it was just a short gag with a bizarre ending, in this case Nokotan trying to bend a spoon with telekinesis, only to make her horns flaccid.
Good night, everybody.
Second short had Koshitan wanting a cup of coffee.
やっぱいい。
Still better than Starbucks. Third short was about their club's budget and realizing that they were in the red.
メルカリで売る？
I don't know. I once tried to buy an anti-monitor figure from them, and they ended up sending it to me damaged, so I had to fix it up myself. No joke here, just wanted to warn you guys about buying from them. Fourth short was honestly the weakest, with Nokotan just winking and a corresponding antler drooping as a result. Fifth short had her looking up what was trendy amongst the furries. Curse you, Yuki! Sixth short was about them getting a head start on their merchandising and realizing the impracticality of some of their goods. Seventh short featured more merch creation, which again is just going to bleed into some of these other shorts. The eighth short was a recreation of the honest woodcutter, with Koshitan answering honestly and being rewarded like in that story. 正直者のコシタンにはゲーミング知能をあげよう。Well, of course it would be toxic as all hell. Ninth short, holy crap, we're already now halfway through this, had Nokotan pulling a prank on Koshitan.
お、ストローじゃね？
You could have pulled it off just as well if you had just given her one of those paper straws. 10th short had Anko reveal where she was getting her clothes from. The 11th short had Nokotan and Mimi sample some delicacies probably better than those overpriced truffles. 12th short had them trying to raise club funds again.
800円のところ、今回に限り、なんと2キュッパ。
Oh god, the show is sponsored by Temu, isn't it? 13th short featured Chiharu showing off her newly bought antler collection, and a legit cute moment between her and Kinu, so at least this isn't all senseless jokes. 14th short featured Neko considering her own finances.
くるみと木彫りと美容液付き、2キュッパ。お得。
Don't fall for it, girl. Even if they tell you that they're low in stock, they're just lying. The 15th short featured jealous Nokotan and Meme.
風強い。馬車目の方が強いですが。お前は何と張り合っ
The Transmagia, maybe? 16th short was a typical night between a girl and her stalker sister. 17th short, oh thank god we're almost done, at the Deer Club welcome in Mr. Tsunoda. And the 18th short had something to do with Bocchi the Rock, I don't know.
じゃ、私ボーカル。
Hey, your AI voice stand-in has done more than enough. Okay, I need to take a little lie down. Cut to black! The second half, thankfully, was more like a normal episode, with the girls finally entering into their summer season and letting us see their corresponding uniforms that we only saw in that brief cut-in. Of course, the one most appreciative of these more revealing clothes was Anko. Give that boy a soda, he is based. However, Nokotan had seemingly gone through an unusual change in her appearance, with spots appearing all over her. Made me believe that she had the answer, which was pretty obvious to anyone who knows anything about deer. However, she thought it was Rice Blast, which to the show's credit, I didn't even know was a thing, and this was actually legit educational. Then again, Mimi herself got it from some reality show about a Japanese boy band doing all sorts of odd jobs, so make of that what you will. But yeah, according to her, much like a bad apple in a batch, they need to get rid of Nokotan before her bacteria spread to the other rice of their already financially declining country. Legit, I would prefer listening to Nokotan talk about politics over either of our presidential candidates. Though of course, this all proved to be a very obvious false alarm, as on top of not even being freaking rice, Mr. Tsunoda came in with, again, the very obvious twist that she was just shedding her fur, which I guess also included her school uniform. I mean, I suppose she was like the dragons in Kobayashi-san, where most of their clothes are actually their scales being reformed into different shapes. And sure enough, she did actually have her discarded fur. I would say that's creepy, but Precure has also done it, so it's probably no big deal, really. No, and also, not surprisingly, Chiharu turned out to be the one who bought that horn off of Mikari. The season, again, quickly passed as even Koshtan lampshade, as they had already entered into autumn. And apparently, Nokotan molted every season, so she had even more fur to give away, though thankfully Uncle's perversions were exclusive to her sister. Still, it got said simply to think about what a bald Nokotan would look like, which, unlike with Bambi, they legit couldn't show because Sento-kun, the real deer mascot of Nara, was still very much trademarked. In fact, even though she wasn't some bald Buddha dude, Nokotan did kind of look like him with the whole humanoid antlers and all that, so it was probably best not to bring it up too much, otherwise we would end up with a Mickey Mouse situation with those ears and, oh. Damn, Disney's really letting a lot of trademarks fall through, aren't they? Meanwhile, Neko was frustrated with not only failing to make any progress in taking down the Deer Club, but she even brought up my own complaint that we didn't get to see her in her summer uniform variant. Girl, are you even aware of one of the most popular shows of this season? However, this is all interrupted by Nokotan, who wanted to show off her discovery, Tsuchinoko. It's also that one thing that's the subject matter of one of the most boring episodes of an already boring show. But yeah, everyone's sans Neko bought into this rubber band ball with antlers that they named Tsuchi, being that snake-esque creature. Though to be fair, Tsuchinoko are also considered to possibly have a far more indescribable form. Megami-han is going to need a serious psychiatric evaluation after this show is over. However, Nokotan started to believe that Tsuchi wasn't the real thing after it turned down all of her favorite foods.
That makes sense to me.
This resulted in her making some of my favorite faces out of her, as at least they weren't the usual happy-go-lucky expressions. And in the end, Neko ended up getting really close to Tsuchi after just one ET touch. With that, the episode ended with the student council and Deer Club agreeing to share responsibility and custody of their new pet, the quote-unquote Tsuchinoko. Just when you think the show can't throw anything else at that wall, it says, "Screw you, we're throwing everything at that damn wall!" As a result, we got a first half that, while a slightly mixed bag of shorts, still all maintained the same degrees of insanity. Meanwhile, the second half was almost equally insane with stuff like skin suits and Tsuchinoko. As a result, I kind of want to say this is my favorite episode, even above the dance episode, because they just went all out with it. Something I really appreciate in anime adaptations is when they use all of the manga material available to them, including even those little in-between chapters in the tankobon. They can do it in clever ways, like mixing it with the proper chapters, or just be straightforward like this show and just make them into shorts, which, as they even point out, is fine for a surreal comedy like this. Granted, it does run the risk of there being some gags that don't quite pan out because they're too short or just don't have enough bite to them, but in this context, they at least add to the high energy of this chaotic though very entertaining first half. As a result, once we did get to the normal format of the second half, it did feel like we slowed down, and yet because of it, I think punchlines hit even harder with Nokotan's molted fur and the Tsuchinoko. In the case of the latter, we got more Neko acting as a good substitute straight man who was even more gullible than Koshtan. It was both cute and hilarious how quickly she was won over by whatever this thing is. Also, on a bit of a side note, it was nice to see more of the student council interacting with each other rather than just being delegated to the Deer Club all the time. And overall, this one just had a ton of gags that, while at times a little hit and miss, combined to form a greater whole than the sum of its parts, with a lot of laughs and insanity. It certainly managed to tempt me to buy some of their merch, except for maybe the fur. Worth mentioning that this episode was released simultaneously as it was in Japan here on YouTube on a channel called It's Anime. I honestly think it's a good idea that helps to support the anime companies, as, let's be honest, it would otherwise just be pirated or reviewed by some a-hole YouTuber or something. Okay, but seriously, do go watch the episode for yourself, as it is only going to be around for 1 week. And until next time though, farewell for now my friends, and no, hello there. You want some, like, chocolate or something? Okay, I'll go buy you some chocolate.